I can see all these people, all these faces filling up. What we got?
Nice to see you, David. It's been some time.
Good to see you too. Michael Trigg, I recognize your voice, sir.
Oh, that's handy. I don't usually have a Pico apron on when I'm watching. I'm going to take it off. Hang on.
No, I recognize that voice. There's so many faces filling up on the wall here that I heard that one voice. I apologize for the view here, but I'm just looking at, we've got Mark Woodhouse in the house, John Fielder, Jeff Fairfield, Doug Galanders out in New Zealand. We've got Erie out in Switzerland. We've got Elmer on the south coast. We've got Colleen Guy over there. I could see there. Andy, my man, is there in Glastonbury. Who else we got? We've got Roger. We've got Frank out in the US. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm gonna pronounce it anyway. Tobias.
To be so.
Sorry, I apologize. Magdalene, we've got Charles Hayes, and by the way, I can't see everybody that's on the call. I can only see up to 49 people. I know we've got more than 49 people here because we got around about 500 people. Caroline Day, I can see you there. I can see your red jumper. Yeah, we got more than 500 people registered for this, and I can't see all of you. So please, if I don't do a call out for you, it's just because I can't see you. But I love seeing the sea of faces that I've got here, which is brilliant. So welcome to the second Real World NLP and Huna masterclass. The first one was a bigger success, to be honest, than I ever thought it would be. It was one of those things where you just have this evening, brain fart basically, and thought I'll put this out on Facebook, on social media, and then it went absolutely crazy, to the point where I got shut down on Facebook because I was replying to all the people who wanted to be in on the masterclass. So, we've had a couple of weeks break, and I was thinking about what am I going to do next? How am I going to, perceptions projection? I never believed I could talk for 10 weeks about perceptions projection. I don't think anybody's ever done that before, and and I did, as many of you know. So I thought, how am I going to top that? And the thing that a lot of people were saying was that it was the applicability, the fact that you could implement what we're doing each week and see some results immediately. And obviously, we're talking about NLP, we're talking about Huna. And so I was thinking about, what should I do? Should I do something like pure Huna-like with the assumptions of Huna magic? And then I was watching the news and also experiencing this for myself. Here in the UK, we've got this situation with cost of living rise.
Not just the UK, it's everywhere.
Yeah. I was going to say that. It's got a situation where my weekly shop, the supermarket, went from 70 quid to 120 quid overnight. Just filled up my car yesterday. Used to cost me 40, 45 pound. Now cost me 70. Fortunately, I don't have a big thirsty car anymore. It's still fast, but it's not big and thirsty. And so I'm going like, this is something that's really going to be top of mind. And the thing with it is that, you got two things: the amount of money you bring in and the amount of money that you spend. Cost cutting. So everybody's talking about cost cutting. The challenge with cost cutting is, one, I personally find it boring and not really that motivational. But also it's finite. You can only cut your costs to a certain level, and then you can't do any more. I'm into cost cutting. Yeah, I'm into efficiency. What's infinite is the amount of money that you can bring in. So that is really where this book, that's my copy of the Think and Grow Rich, the original classic, comes in. So I thought about that. I thought about doing this. I've thought about doing Assumptions of Huna Magic. And then I was watching the news, and there was this army general, UK army general, was on Sky News saying, this is our 1937. And I thought, got it, because this book was published in 1937. And that army general gave me the idea as to what we should do for this next 15-week masterclass series in an NLP and a Huna retake on Think and Grow Rich. Because a lot of the situations that were going on when Napoleon Hill published this book, the US was just out of a major depression. They were on the verge of war. There is, by the way, a synchronicity in that, which is beyond what we are going to be talking about, I think, at this moment in time on this masterclass, though we never know. And I just thought, this is such an apt book, but it needs bringing up to date. Get a copy of the book. I've got the Think and Grow Rich, the original classic, in hardback. But here's the thing: you've got to realize this. When Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, one, on the verge of war, World War II. Two, coming out of major depression in the US. And also, a lot of the stuff in the book is very esoteric, which I want to go into in detail, which is where the NLP and the Huna bit fits in. So the book is written very allegorically. It's written in metaphor. It's allegories, it's stories, which makes it hard work to go through and decipher that. So I've done that for you. And that's what we're going to be doing over these next 15 weeks, is going through Think and Grow Rich, bringing it up to date. Obviously, my perception of what Napoleon Hill was actually talking about, and how we can use NLP and Huna to apply it and make it work in our lives today. The title's Think and Grow Rich. It's a book about money. If we were to put it on a values level, this is a values level 5 book. It's probably the first values level 5 book ever. It's about entrepreneurialism. It's about making money. It's about becoming rich. It's about becoming wealthy, which, obviously I think is important. If you've got a problem with becoming rich and becoming wealthy, then you need to work on yourself, because, the world today, we need money. So the more you can make, the better the life you can have. That's just one of the ways the world it is at the moment. The world is a values level 5 world at this point in time. So if you want to thrive and if you want to succeed in this world, that's got to be some of what you're thinking about. Though, even in this first session, I think you're going to realize that what Napoleon Hill was talking about was way more than just money. Okay. So, and there will be time for Q&A after I've done the session. I plan on the session being around about 30 minutes, but as we know from last time, that didn't really work out that well. And then there will be Q&A after that. Put the Q&A into the chat, the Zoom chat. And then what we're going to do, because I prefer this, is that Sally will manage the questions. So she will contact you and basically say, okay, unmute your microphone and your question is up next, and then I will answer that. That's a new way that we're doing this. So let's see how it works out. So first session, intro, and then secret number 1 is desire. So, what is a true desire? And this isn't a desire about what you want to have. This is an interesting thing, I think, which a lot of people miss when they read Think and Grow Rich, is that Napoleon Hill isn't talking about a desire for having a certain amount of money. What he's talking about is, I'm going to stand up now. The desire about, just move the screen a little bit. A desire about who you want to be and what do you want to do. Because the desire of who you want to be and what you want to do will create or provide you with the have, provided you follow the process. But these two things are the most important things. So who do you want to be? What do you want to do? So, I've got a couple of personal experiences of this. I just went to see the new Elvis movie. I'm a huge Elvis fan. I have been since I was 14. It's a fantastic movie. Even if you're not an Elvis fan, go and see the movie. It's a great movie. As an Elvis fan, it's a very, very, very emotional movie. So at the age of 14, I wanted to be the new Elvis Presley. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really care whether it gave me any of this or not. That's who I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to do. And so I did. And I was very good, actually. I even got offered a contract and all this kind of stuff. And I found some recordings that I'd done in 1980. Some of you weren't even born then. 1980, I recorded these things for my. I recorded an album for my grandma, for my grandma's and it was me doing an Elvis impersonation. And what I did was I played this tape, cassette tape. Hang on. I love props. How many people remember those? Some of you are putting your thumbs up. Yeah, actually, that is the recording. I transferred it onto my phone, onto whatever, and then I Shazammed it. And this was one of the biggest things in my life, to be honest with you. I Shazammed me in 1980 singing an Elvis track with just me and a guitar, and Shazam said I was Elvis. Now, I'm going like, what? That was just a real moment for me. So that's what I wanted. That's who I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to do. But my mum and dad said no. Before you go into the music business, you'll go to university, you'll get a degree. So when everything in the music industry goes wrong, you've got something to fall back on for a proper job. That's in the days when a degree guaranteed you a job, not these days. So I didn't do that. And I went to university, did a degree in electronics. Wasn't a desire. And met the girl, got the proper job, got engaged, got married, etc., etc., etc. Wasn't really a desire. It was something that I believed you should do. So, I was pretty successful at that. I wound up working for Reuters in the late 80s. But then it didn't work for me anymore. And I thought that my desire was to run my own business. So I left Reuters. I bought a franchise to do a management consultancy. But I was just doing the same thing. I was just working for myself. And it didn't work. Let me put that a different way. I didn't make it work. And what I did discover as a result of that was a thing called neuro-linguistic programming. And that's when I discovered my desire. Because my desire was really to empower other people. When it really kicked in, this is an important thing with your desire. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? I discovered that in 1993. And when you found your true desire, who you want to be and what you want to do, you will be totally okay with burning your bridges. There's a legend in Hawaii that a king of all the islands was going to take over one of the other islands. And this particular island that we're going to go and take over is very, very ferocious, very, very vicious. And so they landed on the beach, and then the king instructed his soldiers to burn their boats. Because he said the only way that we're going to win this is we can either win it or we'll die. There's no back doors, which is why, I jokingly put it into the email that Sally sent out to you. was when I was running the management consultancy franchise. A very dear friend of mine, he's still a friend of mine now, even after all these years, used to call me Backdoor Dave. And today it's probably got more sexual connotations than it did have in those days. But Backdoor Dave was basically me, because I always built an escape route. I always had a plan B. I always had, well, if this doesn't work out, then I'll do this. If this doesn't work out, then I'll do this. If this doesn't work out, then I'll do this. And I remember very clearly one night, this is in the days before mobile phones, my ex-boss from Reuters contacted me, and I went down to the phone box and called him up. And he said, I've got this new position. I'd like you to be my sales director. Basically, it was £100,000 plus on target earnings, which he said will easily be 250,000. And I'll give you a BMW M3. He knew I loved cars. And, you know, £250,000 in the early 90s. I mean, it's a lot of money now, but, you know, what is it now? Probably like somewhere between 500,000 and 750,000. And I seriously asked myself whether I was going to do it. I thought, well, I'll just do it for a couple of years, get myself sorted out again, and then do what I really want to do, which was NLP and empowering people and all that kind of stuff. But I couldn't do it. I phoned him back and I said, no, thanks, Peter. I'm not going to do it. This is what I'm doing now. And I still didn't really know who I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. Then I met my friend, my mentor, my trainer, Tad James. And I went out to California, burnt all my bridges. All the money I got, sold radios, guitars, whatever it was, to get out to California to do that training. When I was on that training, I went like, okay, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to do. I was in May 1993. That's what Napoleon Hill is talking about when he talks about desire. Who do you really want to be, and what do you really want to do in your wildest dreams? That's what he's talking about. And then putting yourself in a situation where you have no choice. There's no back doors. There's no second parachute, if Rick Cullen's on this call today. There's no back door. There's no escape route. This is it. This is it. You're doing it. And this isn't setting a goal. The goal is this bit, the have. What do you want to have out of being this person and doing this thing? Then the have will come out of that. And, you know, what is your true desire? What's in your heart, your true desire about who you want to be and what you want to do? Then we can go into the next step of the process, which he talks about in the book, 6 steps to creating a desire, which I'm, you know, this is going to be 2022 update through NLP and Huna filters. Is these things here, and these are in the book. They're in the first secrets. What's your exact desire? Who exactly do you want to be, and what exactly do you want to do? See, a lot of people, I think what they do is they go, this is what I want to have from a financial point of view, from a house point of view, from a lifestyle point of view. And then they go, so what do I need to do that? And who do I need to be? Just like I did. I went like, okay, I'll be a software engineer. I'll be a software guru. I'll be a management consultant. That's how I'll have all of this. And it worked. I did have that in the late 80s. You know, I had a really nice house in Ealing, in the west part of London. I was married. Me and my wife are earning between us around about £100,000 in the late 80s. We had 2 sports cars. We were going on holiday, etc., etc., etc. And though I wasn't being who I really wanted to be, and I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do. So I lost all of that. This is why this is really important to get it in the right order. Who do you really desire to be? What do you really desire to do? And when you've got those bits, that will come, which is like secret number 2, which is faith. But we're going to get there next week. Now, here's an interesting one. Number 2, what are you willing, what are you giving in return of having what you want to have? Different from the secret. Interestingly, you know, Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor, dear Bob Proctor, he was in the first secret movie, and all of the people in the secret movie said that it wasn't a matter of just doing and just meditating and the universe would deliver like a cash machine. He said, you got to take action. All of them said you got to take action. So what are you giving in return for what you want to have? That could be like, you know, for me to have what I have, you know, I give many of my weekends because that's when people want to come and train with me. So you're gonna have to give something to get the return on your desire. Yeah. Then 3, when? Date. When do you want this by? You've got to tell what we would call your unconscious mind when you want to have this by, when you want to have this desire delivered. Then we're gonna talk a lot about this because I disagree with this. We're in Napoleon Hill. He goes like, okay, build a specific plan. I personally don't believe that works. And I'll talk when we get to that point exactly why I don't believe that works and my experience of that and my experience of many of my clients when they've given up this detailed plan. Though in modern day interpretation, action. Take action on being who you want to be and doing what you want to do when now. Start it immediately. In NLP, it's called acting as if. When you've worked out who you really want to be and what you really want to do, then start being that person now. You see, here's the thing with this. You can be the person you want to be now. You can do what you want to do now. Have takes time. And though, when you be who you want to be and you do what you want to do, the have will come. Step 5 is really, if you look in the book, is really what we would call from an NLP point of view, smart. It's about, specifically what do you want and when, etc. Then step 6, I also disagree with, because he basically, I'm going to sit down now and just adjust the camera a little bit so we get a good, better picture. Step 6, he says you read what you've written in step 5 every morning and every night, which in my world is called affirmations. Affirmations, and we'll come on to this because a future chapter is about affirmations. This is something where I think things have moved on significantly since Think and Grow Rich was written. Affirmations work. When you use affirmations in an area of your life where you have no unresolved stuff. People only tend to use affirmations in an area of the life when they do have unresolved stuff. I did. When I first came across affirmations, I think it was one particular tape series I got where they said, say over and over again every morning, look at yourself in the mirror and go, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. Well, I've got this big limiting belief if I'm not good enough. So I'm going like, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. And my unconscious mind's going, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. And affirmations are a bit like bludgeoning your unconscious mind into submission. It's like torture. I was just looking at a recent thing. I was doing some research on some new forms of therapy, which still are based on affirmations. And they go, do these affirmations for 28 days after the therapy session. Well, as far as I'm concerned, if you apply NLP, if you apply tumbling therapy, if you apply Huna, you don't need to repeat it to yourself over and over again. You don't need to bludgeon your unconscious mind into submission. The deal is done. So therefore, step 6 is actually redundant when you apply NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, mental emotional release, or Huna. So there we go. That's a bit of a rant. Wasn't expecting that for the, I think I've been watching too much rant videos. So what questions does anybody have? And I'm just going to wait until Sally either messages me and tells somebody to unmute themselves and then ask me a question. Maybe there's no questions. Maybe I did that so perfectly that people just got it straight away.
Okay, Roger, can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Thank you. Thanks, Sally. Hi, David.
Hi, Roger. How you doing, mate?
Am I? Yeah, very well indeed. Yeah. Oh, I love
Good.
this stuff. Yeah, just to show you, I've got the book. Yeah. I read it when I was 20, I think. And
You read it last year? You read it last year? Like I did.
God, you say all the right things. So thanks ever so much for this. Yeah, could you, you know, I'm AD, could you just specify, or rather tell us how you would have specified your exact desire in the example you've just given us? Just so we're absolutely clear on the be and the do, using the example you've just given us of yourself, if you're happy to do that.
Yeah, no, certainly. Because goals, a lot of people think right away we're into goal setting. And I don't actually believe that's what Napoleon Hill was talking about at this point in time. Because of this. Now, interestingly, he does talk about be and do, but doesn't talk about have, which is interesting in 1937. So for me, it's like, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Whereas most people go, I want to make £1 million a year, or whatever it may be. And I believe what Napoleon Hill's talking about here is we do this bit first. So personal experience, well, like I said, who did I want to be? The next Elvis Presley. And I started doing it. And I was good. My mum and dad then said, no, you're not doing that. And I listened. I was true values level 4. I did as I was told. I went to university and all of that kind of stuff. Whereas I think my life would have turned out very, very differently if I'd actually followed my desire, followed my passion of being a rock and roll singer. But it kind of like doesn't go away. So then, I worked for Reuters very, very successfully in software engineering. And still, but Roger, it was away from. It was like, I don't want to do this. I didn't know what I wanted to do instead. I didn't know who I wanted to be instead, but I knew who I didn't want to be. I knew what I didn't want to do. So, I took a massive risk and bought a franchise for this management consultancy franchise, which, in 1990, I discovered coaching and I discovered NLP, but that wasn't it either. And, I discovered NLP thanks to Tony Robbins. And then I think when I finally got it was in May 1993, when I went on my practitioner training in California, and again, burnt all the bridges, massive risk. I got to make it work, basically. And this is something I think that certainly I've used a lot. And I think this is what Napoleon Hill's talking about here, is when you found your desire, put yourself in a position where you have to make it work. I was there on my practitioner training with my dear late friend and mentor, Tad James. And I went, this is who I want to be. this is what I wanted to do. And I actually I went to Tad and I said, okay, I want to do what you're doing. How do I do that? And he said, nobody's ever asked me that before. Let me think about it. He came back to me a couple of days later and he said, you do this. I had no clue how I was going to do it. No clue at all. And I went, okay, I'll do it. And, you know, in a way, my NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, Huna is my rock and roll. It is my Elvis, in a way. In fact, one of the things I say is that I don't do trainings, I don't do presentations, I don't do speeches, I do gigs. That's what I do. It puts a completely different frame on it for me. You know, NLP in a way, let's just call it NLP. NLP is my rock and roll. When I do my NLP training, I'm the Elvis of NLP. I don't know if that answers your question, Roger, but I don't think there's necessarily an AD answer to it.
Yeah.
Desire and passion is an emotion.
Got it.
And when you, it's like, who do you really want to be and what do you really want to do, but you daren't? That was the thing for me. You know, I had this idea about who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, but it scared the shit out of me. But then I did it anyway.
Got it. Thanks very much. So if I was to put my AD brain on it, and I accept I'm forcing this on, I would say, okay, you met, you experienced Tad, you knew that's what you wanted to do. And if you had to put a name on it, I wanted to be a coach, a stroke trainer, and I want to be able to help people.
Right.
As opposed to saying, I want to make a shitload of money by being a really smart ass consultant or coach or NLP, whatever. It's that way round. Have I got that
Yes.
essentially correct? Yeah.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I think you have. Yeah, that's it. This is an important piece because, you know, we see so many people want to be a coach, want to be a therapist. They have the desire to do that, but they don't know how to turn it into money. And that's an important step in the process, but that's further along the line, if you like. Whereas a lot of people just go like, well, this is what I want to have. Who do I need to be? What do I need to do to have that? You know, and people have actually asked me, what do you think would have happened if you'd stayed at Reuters? Because you were very, very successful there. And it was a very good question. And I only ever got one answer. And I'm going to be very, very frank with you here. I only ever got one answer. I'd be dead. I wouldn't be here anymore. Because, you know, one is not following your passion and doing what you think you've got to do, but also the lifestyle. Although it's exciting when you're kind of like mid-20s and, you know, mid to late 20s, it was amazing. But not sustainable because that wasn't there. And that's my take on what Napoleon Hill's talking about here.
Great. Thanks very much. Brilliant.
All right.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Roger.
Okay, Caroline Day, ask away. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello, David.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, very well. I'm wondering when you need to sort out the values on the have, because I work with so many people in the care sector and people who want to help people in the care sector, and they're all different. So at what point do you need to sort out the values on the have?
Well, your values are going to be in play anyway. There's no way around that. And your values are pretty much in place by the time you're age 7.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't done work on my values, and I know you've done work on your values too, and your beliefs, if I hadn't worked on my values, I would be attempting to navigate my way through the world today with values that are at least 52 years out of date, since I'm 59. So I think the thing with it is I think everybody's born with a burning desire. And then, to be in the caring profession, as an example, as you talked about, that's who they were born to be. And then we go through this massively overrated process of growing up. And then we're told, well, you can't do that. Or if you want to do that, you can't make the kind of money that you want. It's interesting. I've got a student, a friend of mine, Jane Lewis, who's a fellow Kumu in my Huna lineage. And she first started training with me in about 1995, I think it was, which actually wasn't, I mean, I think you started training with me about then too. And she got this purpose in life to be a teacher. Oh, boy, she reacted like mad to that. I don't want to be a teacher. Oh. And we do a whole series of different ways of discovering what your purpose in life is, who you really are born to be, from numerology and from Huna and astrology and various other things. And it all kept coming up with teacher. And every single time she went like, no. I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. And she went on a quest to find as many different ways of discovering your life purpose as possible, to find a method that would actually come up with a life purpose that she actually liked. And every single method she did all came up the same. And Sheila, I can see Stella there as well. I think you know what I'm talking about. Finally, she went, right. And she only very recently told me this. Her dad had said to her, if you want to make money and you want to be prosperous, don't be a teacher. Limiting belief had come in place. And so her desire was to be a teacher. But, she got this mindset of teacher as in being at school, whatever, classical teacher. Now, what does she do? She's a teacher. She's a Kumu of Huna. She's also a trainer of NLP. She does leadership programs specifically for women, and she is making a good living, a good amount of money, doing what she always wanted to do. But, you know, it's a bit like me with my Elvis thing, you know. Mum and Dad said, no, you can't do that. And I went, okay. I'm just doing the Elvis of NLP now. So I worked out a way around it. Does that answer your question, Caroline?
Yeah, it does. That's a classic let go of the form, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. As in, you know, when you, so you specifically talk about people that have got this real strong desire to be in a caring profession. And then you've got the classic, well, if you want to, if you want to be in the caring profession, this is what you're going to have to do, and this is what you can have, which at this point in time, for a lot of people who have a desire to be in the caring profession, isn't working. And it's not the only way. So it's letting go of the form, as you quite rightly say, as in, okay, this is who I really want to be. This is what I really want to do. What are other ways of doing that, rather than being shoehorned into this, you know, from a Claire Grazer's values levels point of view, a values level 4 system. And this is where the burning your bridges comes in. Being willing to burn your bridges and step out of the system and do it your own way.
Brilliant. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks for the question.
Okay, Linda Weatherly, can you unmute and ask your question, please? Still here.
Hi, Sally and David. Hi.
Hiya.
I don't know if I can see you, but I can certainly hear you.
Oh, they're both on at my end.
Yeah, they would be.
That way. There you go. How's that?
Oh, now I can see you. Yes.
Great. So I was reflecting on, I've been who I wanted to be, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I have had if you like, what came up was, it put me in touch with some amazing people, which I've still got. But when the banks crashed, my corporate business kind of crashed. I suppose what I was reflecting on is, what do I do now to replicate, or maybe not replicate, move on and go there again? Whilst I sort of answered my own question I have to do it in the present and not lean on the past. Maybe it's different now.
It is different now.
That's what I thought.
Tell me about it. So, you know, the key thing is, with the desire,
Yeah.
then the thing that's important is the flexibility.
Right.
So that you can still be who you want to be, do what you want to do, to have what you want to have in the world as it is today.
Yes.
So, I was speaking to one of my clients yesterday, who's a global CEO of a very successful electronics company. And since the pandemic, they have had the absolute best 2 to 3 years that they've ever had, both from a turnover and a profit point of view. And his wife actually asked him, you know, what do you put this down to? You know, because a lot of people are like worse than struggling, let alone being able to say that they've had the best 2 years both from a turnover and a profitability point of view. Turnover is up 50%, profitability is up more than 50%. And this is a global business. This is a big business, okay? Multi-million, £100 million business. And he said, I didn't have an answer at first. And then he said to his wife, flexibility.
Yeah.
Flexibility was the thing. You know, what we used to do last year potentially doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
And I think being able to let go of that, you know, like, well, it used to work, so I'll make it, you know, I see so many people going, well, it used to work, I'm going to make it work again.
Yeah.
But the world's changed. The world's a different place today than it was in January, let alone several years ago, you know. So it's being willing and able to let go of the form, if you like, of the do.
Yes.
This is the do bit here. So you can still be who you want to be. You can still be who you desire to be.
Yeah. That's
but then
still
the way that you actually manifest that through action and doing is going to be different today than it was January, than it was 2020, 2019.
Yeah, got it.
That's
the thing I was looking for. That makes sense.
And you know, so you can still do it, Linda. I mean, absolutely. And you know, have what you had and more.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, flexibility. I'm going to write it down.
Well, there is a recording of this going out, so you better listen to it again.
Great.
Great question.
Okay, Sandra from Holland, you're up, honey. Hope you're well.
Okay, I hope I won't lose the connection. That's why I don't have my camera on, because I'm in Germany and the connection is losing all the time. I just have a quick question. So for step number 6, instead of doing the affirmations, then we just read our SMART goals every day as a daily affirmation. Do I correct then?
No, what I would do is, if you've got NLP and timeline therapy, then what people use affirmations for in general is to overcome limiting beliefs. You know, I was just looking at this big, very, very successful therapy training where they have their clients go like, I am good enough. I am good enough. I am good enough. And well, the only reason why you'd have to do that is because you've got a limiting belief of I'm not good enough, which with NLP and timeline therapy we can get rid of in 10 or 15 minutes. When you got rid of the limiting belief, you don't need affirmations anymore. And when you use the creating your future process in timeline therapy and you put a goal out in your future timeline, having cleared or released everything that's in the way of you not being able to achieve it, then you just leave your unconscious mind to get on with it. You don't need to remind your unconscious mind twice a day or 50 times a day. It's the job is done. You know, you've communicated effectively to your unconscious mind, this is what I want to have. By when? And that's it. Then you just need to take action.
Right. So I guess my limited belief is really kind of like a fuck up Fred. He keeps coming back. So I guess I have to work on it again.
Yeah. So if you know what your limiting belief is, then, you know, with timeline therapy and mental emotional release or Huna, you can get rid of the limiting belief and get rid of it for good. So,
yeah, but the timeline therapy cannot be done by someone familiar, right?
yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest having somebody who you're familiar with do. I mean, obviously, it's going to go into a bigger thing, but with timeline therapy, to get rid of a limiting belief, you'd also need to do a detailed personal history, release negative emotions, etc. Which is why it's not really appropriate to do it with somebody that you know well, somebody you already have an existing relationship with. And though, you know, you could do the submodality belief change with NLP. That could work.
Okay, I'll give that a go.
Well, don't give it a go.
Thank
Do it.
you so
Do it.
much.
That's a pleasure. But don't give it a go. Do it.
No, I will do it. There's no try. I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff.
Okay, Phil, as we're talking about...
Thank you.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Phil Atkinson, as we're talking about submodalities, why don't you jump in with your question right now?
Good. Hello, David.
Phil, my man. How's Edinburgh?
Excellent. Very windy and very cold.
Oh,
Just
good.
summers. Bottom line, can you not, this whole idea about desire, yeah? In order to ramp desire up in terms of, for me, it's a sort of old Tony Robbins thing that I would do, which is sort of ramp up the submodalities that motivate me to become who I want to become. I take it that works. I've made it work for me in the past.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we can certainly do that.
I'm thinking if the desire isn't 10 out of 10, because quite often I might have a job to do and I'm not really motivated to do it. But if I can visualize myself doing it, ramp myself up with, I don't know, the Charge of the Valkyries or whatever music is around at the time, Apocalypse Now,
Yeah,
that works for me, certainly in the short term. Because I think the desire thing, without desire, you're just a bit stuffed, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, when I was at Reuters, I was just focusing on the have. You know, and it worked. Had the cars, had the house, had the holidays, had the, you know, whatever. But it wasn't sustainable because there was no B.
Yeah.
So I was really not being who I really wanted to be and not doing what I really wanted to do, even though I had what I wanted to have. So actually, my question, Phil, would be to you: why would you want to take a job that you didn't want to do?
All right. Okay. Yeah, I get it. 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 I've burned my boats before, you know.
And thank you for being, you know, for creating the opportunity of me saying that. That's a brave move.
The answer was money. The answer was money.
Yes, which is the have, right?
Yeah. But it's short term, isn't it?
Which, you know, the second next week, the second secret is around faith.
Okay.
And I'd probably put a different word on it than that, because, you know, a lot of people now go faith is around religion and those kind of things. And that's not what Napoleon Hill was talking about. But, you know, there are those times where you go, I don't want to do this job, but I've got to because of the money. But quite often the biggest goals I've achieved were shortly after I turned down something that I didn't want to do. And that you are like, oh, fuck. I really needed that, whatever, that money. But then at the end of the day, I go like, is that really who I want to be? Who I want to be? Is that really what I want to do?
Good response. Thank you.
No. And then it came in after that, which is really about the second secret, which is about creating faith inside of yourself.
Thanks.
Brilliant question, Phil.
Okay, Tim Morrell, you're up.
Hey there.
Tim, you're right in the middle of my screen.
Oh, sorry. I'll move back a bit.
No, it's all right. No, you don't even move back.
Cool. I think you've kind of answered this already in what you've been talking about in the last few questions. But so, in relation to the concept of desire, and then the association with meta-program, big picture detail, what's the relationship between desire, creating a desire, if you're big picture thinking, or detail orientated? As in, if you're big picture, should you make an effort to be more detailed, or if you're detailed, should you make an effort to kind of be a bit more global with it? Does that make sense?
Yep. Totally. I think it's a great question. So, and obviously this is just my interpretation on what Napoleon Hill was talking about in the book. The be will always be more abstract than the do. Do will always be more abstract than the have. So, you know, we're only in the first step of the process here. So I think what he's talking about here is like, who specifically do you want to be? And what specifically do you want to do? How that then manifests is potentially infinite. You know, using my personal experience, my personal example. So, you know, I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to be a rock and roll singer. Wanted to play guitar and shake my leg. And then for whatever reason, I could have followed that, but I didn't. I was told not to do that, by mum and dad. But that's who I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. And then if you think about it from a logical levels point of view, do I actually do that now? Well, yeah, I do actually. It's still satisfying the same desire. I'm still on the stage. I'm still, doing what I want to do, and in a different way. So I think that, what Napoleon Hill talks about in the book is about a specific desire. Which I think is a little bit confusing, really. So the specific desire is about who you want to be. Now, for me, my specific desire was about me being me. That's pretty abstract, right? And though also being an entertainer, a performer, which I still do. I'm doing this magic training with David Blaine at the moment, which is absolutely brilliant, which I'm going to be integrating into my NLP trainings. So all of that's still there. And it's coming out in the form of, empowerment events rather than rock and roll events.
Yeah.
But it's and I think there's those things where even before I got into the Elvis thing, I got into stage magic. I wanted to be a stage magician. I started doing that when I was about 9 or 10. And became very, very good at it. And then the Elvis thing took over, probably because of it involved more girls. Different kind of motivation. But then, when you look at it, and I've got long enough to look at the trend now. After 59 years, I can look at the trend. There is a trend there as far as like being in front of people, detaining people, magic, although, originally it was stage magic, and what I do now. And really, I could have found it earlier if I just allowed myself to go, okay, this is who I really want to be. Well, no, actually, it's not even, I think this whole thing. Who do you want to be? No. Who are you? And what is it about for you?
Okay, so if I can give a bit of context, this has happened a number of times in my life. I was recently offered a job with Starbucks to run a Starbucks store.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I applied for it. It was just because I got friendly with the manager. I go in there a lot. And I've been told quite a few times from different people I've got a knack for having introspective ideas and being able to accumulate information and give some suggestions and powerful direction and that kind of thing. So I'm also good at property as well, and I've got a lot of knowledge about property.
Yeah.
So I think where I'm getting stuck is the abstract of it is that even though I didn't accept the job, but the abstract bit of it is, yes, who am I? Because what I'm really good at is having the insight, and what I'm really passionate about is business. I love business.
Right.
So that's where the desire is. So it's that crossroad between who am I and what I do.
Well, Tim, let me, your thing about being offered the role of being a manager of a Starbucks store is a bit like me being offered sales director of a trading room systems company in the early 90s. And mate, I really needed the money. And it was a lot of money. And I thought, well, maybe I can do it for 2 years, pay all the debts off, get myself back on track, and then go back to what I really want to do. And I've got to be honest. Sally's here. I took that phone call in a phone box, and I went back and said, look, Peter's just offered me this. I could do it for a couple of years, get myself back on my feet, get a house again, because I lost everything. And she said, is that really what you want to do? I went, no. And so she went, well, I think you need to go back and give him a call back. So I walked out, went back to the phone box and phoned Peter and said, thanks, mate, but no, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And that's tough. That's the equivalent of the Hawaiian chief telling his soldiers to burn the boats. So then you don't have any choice. And I do that. I mean, I still do it now. I quite often go like, oh, I wonder if I can do this. Like, I wonder if I can get rid of the phobia of public speaking by just hypnosis and pure suggestion. And I thought, well, I don't know. So what I'll do is I'll do a demo in front of 100 people to find out if I can. And then that's, you've got to make it work, right? That's the burning. I think it's a really important piece. Backdoor Dave does not exist anymore.
Well, I guess I better ring up Sally and get that mentoring organised.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, Tim.
Okay, and the last question is from Manuela,
Manuela.
if I've pronounced that correctly. Manuela, yeah. Let's do that. Okay.
Can't see her.
No,
but I can't see everybody on the call anyway. So
I've asked her to unmute, but she's not unmuting, so I'll ask the question on her behalf.
okay.
If I can find the question. No. go quite a way back. It was something around, how does Huna relate in the context of NLP? So it might be a question for another day, to be fair.
Yeah, well, there's two of my passions, NLP and Huna. Huna is about energy and about who you truly are, three minds: conscious mind, unconscious mind, higher self. Whereas NLP, the way people teach NLP, it's just conscious mind. The way I teach NLP, it's conscious mind, unconscious mind. Huna adds a third mind, which is your higher self, which is who you truly are. And then I think, you know, so Huna, a lot of people would refer to Huna as being magic, not stage magic, but magic. And Dion Fortune, who is a esoterrorist, which is not somebody who blows up petrol stations, an occultist who lived in London and also Glastonbury in the 1900s, said that before the study of magic should be preceded with a thorough study of the workings of the human mind, because the mind of God and the mind of man are the same. So NLP is one of the most effective ways, I believe, of studying the working of the human mind. And my most proficient and most successful Huna students are also those people who've studied NLP. So that would be the relationship between the two. It's interesting that the study of the creation of stage magic, card tricks, etc., was created so that real magicians could say, no, that's not magic, it's just a trick. You could then demonstrate a trick. Whereas, which enabled them to walk away from being accused of being a real magician or a witch, which of course at one point in time they would have been killed for. So one of my reasons why I'm also passionate about stage magic. But that would be my relationship between NLP and Huna.
Okay, great. That's all the questions for this evening.
Fantastic.
Now at 8:30, so good job.
There's this 30-minute thing that I do, right? It starts at 7 o'clock and finishes at 7:30, and I never managed to achieve it with the first masterclass, and now this is running over even more. But hey, whatever. So I am. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Was that good, guys? Give me a thumbs up if that was useful. Great to see you. Great to see you all. I'll see you all here again next Wednesday with an equally interesting secret number 2, according to Napoleon Hill, faith. Yeah, that's going to be quite a biggie, I think. Yep. So book the entire night out of your diary. We'll start at 7 and we'll finish when we're done. Thanks for being here, guys. And also, like, you know, if you know other people that would like to be part of this, then share it with them. Join the group, you know, the community, so we can do chats and questions, all that kind of stuff. But people can join, even though we've already started. It's 15 weeks, and all of these will be recorded. So everybody who's registered will get the recording of all of the previous sessions. So bring more people in, bring more people in. Let's make this, I mean, even bigger than it is already. I mean, it's big already, but like, let's make it even bigger. Yeah.